Hello there, it's Matt again, the Vinyl Minimalist. The topic of today's video is of course very controversial. I believe that good records are bad for your collection, and that's why you should stop buying good records. Now, there are two disclaimers I have. The first one is, if you happen to be a DJ, work in the music industry, if music is your job, or if you are a heavy music junkie owning 13,000 records, then obviously that does not apply to you. In that case, your connection to music is completely different than mine, your relation to music, right? So that's something completely different. I'm not going to talk about people like you. The second disclaimer is that I'm talking about good records, and I will be comparing good records to great records. Now, of course, I've got my own perception. Everyone has got different tastes, so what is good for me might be great for you, and vice versa. Okay, so what I want to say with this video is that having good records only will lead not to a good record collection, it will lead to a mediocre record collection. In order to have a good record collection, you have to own some great records too. Having great records will obviously improve the quality of your record collection. Now, if you want to have a truly great record collection, I believe you should not try getting any good records. You should only try to get great records, really truly great records. So what is a good record and what is a great record? Well, I don't know, of course. It's up to you to choose what you think is a great record. I want to show you an example what I think is not a great record. Men at Work, Business as Usual. A really good record, isn't it? It's got some really great songs. It's got Who Can It Be Now, Down Under. These are very well known and I like them a lot. And Down Under is also very funny. And it's great, it's fun to listen to. And then it's got some other good songs. Be Good Johnny is quite a nice one. And then there's a bunch of other songs that I just don't remember. And every time I listen to this album, I'm quite happy at the beginning because you've got Who Can It Be Now, and then the third song is Down Under, that's great. And as I progress in listening of this album, I get less and less interested in it. And yeah, for me this is not a great record. I got it, it's in great shape, I got it for very little money, and I thought, yeah, I could have some Australian music, some Australian indie pop, whatever you call it, and it's good, but it's not great. So I compare that to a truly great record, which is again indie pop, that was issued 10 years later, Violator by Depeche Mode. I believe this is a true masterpiece with many great songs. The World in My Eyes, Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence, Clean, and so on. This whole album is just almost perfect. The design is legendary. This is a fantastic album. So now what does that mean for your collection? The easy way of collecting is to go out there, go to the record stores, go to the flea market, and just look through records. And then you will find records that you will find interesting and you might buy them. That's what I did at the beginning. of my collecting. When I started collecting in 2009, roughly, I would be buying good records. A few of them were really great, but these were mostly exceptions. I would be buying good records. Records that I found kind of interesting, bands that I knew the names of, and I knew these were well-known bands such as some prog rock bands, Genesis or Jethro Tull. I mean, Jethro Tull, they have some songs that I really love, but as of now I have not discovered any album of Jethro Tull that I would really love. So I've had some albums by Jethro Tull, and I never ended up really listening to them a lot because they were good records, but they were not great records. Yeah, so the easy way would be just getting good records and plenty of them, and many good records are inexpensive. It's easy to get plenty of them, and more and more and more, and as a result you will fairly easy have a fairly big record collection that will be, I don't know, I guess mediocre, in my opinion. That's the easy way. That's what I did until a few years ago. Now, if you have such a collection, you will spend your listening time with this collection. You will have a few great records because you will always find some really great records and get them and love them. Yeah, this will make actually out of your mediocre collection a good collection. So you will have a good collection. However, what you will do, you will listen to your great records, but you will also listen to plenty of the good records because you have them. So if you see them, you feel obliged to listen to them because you bought them for a reason. Of course, you bought them to listen to them in the end, eventually. So you will keep listening to records that you will not really desire to listen to. You will not crave for these records because they are just good. And the worst thing about good records is that there are so many of them. Good records are everywhere. There are plenty of them. And if you keep buying good records, you will just buy more and more and more and more and more of them. And as a result, the proportion of your great records will not get bigger, to say the least. It might even shrink, right? Because it's harder to find really great records than good records. So you will keep listening to those good records, even though what you might do, and what I try doing, is focus on great records and think twice before you buy a record, and try to improve the quality of your collection so that you will only have great records. And this means that you will more often listen to the same albums. The negative part of it is that you will probably, it will be more difficult for you to discover new music, because by buying inexpensive good records you will listen to many different genres more easily. Yeah. So you will listen, if you will have more of the great records, you will listen to the same records over and over again. Well, maybe not over and over again, but more often. But I am sure that you will have a lot more fun listening to the great records, even though this might be the same records, because many different music styles are more complex than you might think, and by listening over and over to the same tracks, to the same songs, you will discover little details in the music that you might have missed previously. So I know that what I'm saying is quite extreme for many people, and I hope not to get too much hate, but this is how I feel, and I think it's important to present that, to introduce this idea to the world. And there's one thing you might want to do to see the difference between the good records you have in your collection and the great records you have in your collection. Try having a look at every record you have and ask yourself a question. Is this a good record? I hope you don't have any bad records. Yeah, I hope you don't have the records you put them on. Yeah, that's bad. So ask yourself the question, is this a good record? Or is this a truly great record? If it's a good record, put it on one side. If it's a great record, put it on the other side. And then in the end, you will have separated your collection to two parts. The great records might be the smaller part, or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe you've got 5,000 records and 4,000 are great and 1,000 are good. Of course, it's not my... It's up to you to decide what you find good and what you find great. But then you'll have the two parts, yeah, the good records and the great records. And then ask yourself the question, or rather imagine that your collection would be only the one on one side, only the good records. Imagine you would come every day, you would come back home and you will find these records, and they're all good, but there is none of them that is great. And then imagine you would come back home and you would have a collection that would be only composed of the great records. At the beginning, maybe there are not so many of them, a few of them, but you can concentrate on the great records only. It's more difficult. It's not very easy. Very often, if you're looking for truly great records, you will go into a record shop. You will spend an hour or 2 hours in the record shop, and then you will go out empty-handed because you didn't find any truly great records. That's normal. But there are many great records out there. They are just to be found, to be discovered. And I'm 100% sure it is possible to even build a very extensive record collection with only great records. And that's what I'm trying to do. I think it's very rewarding. And I hope to inspire you too to do the same. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye bye.